problems northeast of here and east of here.
And we're seeing more damage reports that are coming in from around that same area that we were looking at. So this did confirm that we were mentioning the Monroe and the Unionville area. It's technically North Monroe that we're seeing here. So Brad just sent us this picture. Didn't have confirmation to use the other one. Pretty sure be able to use this one, but I'm just going to go for it. You're actually seeing some power lines that are pretty significantly damaged. So let me bring this up real quick.
Yeah, it was really over there along Highway 74, heading towards Indian Trail, Lake Park, and that part of Union County towards Porter Ridge High School that we saw those intense winds that did cause some damage. And National Weather Service has been looking very closely at all these because, you know, a tornado could be an F0 tornado with winds 60, 70 miles an hour, or it could be an EF5.
So
it winds over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, well, luckily we didn't have that.
Nothing like that, no.
Yeah, but check this out. So this is right. We mentioned the nursery that somebody reported they saw a tornado. So they took shelter at the nursery there. This is right off of Lawyers Road, North Monroe, and that is Lawyers Road. So you can see likely something might have came down here, even though it is all one direction, but since it is so isolated, completely just snapped the power pole. So that's just a good example of what you can see along a line like this, that it'd be isolated damage right there.
This is Lawyers Road into Union County.
So that's right near the nursery that we were mentioning. Okay, so this is really where we've seen the best designation of that. Meanwhile, things are really improving across the area, but just shows what we were seeing just west of Unionville, and technically the address is North Monroe that we saw the worst of the weather. And we'll kind of give you a case study showing you what's happening. It was this little couplet that you're seeing here, and a couplet is just a fancy term for red butting against the green, radars going one direction, and another that shows that rotation. Kayland?
Yeah, I had a question for you all. If we could pop that photo back up, because that photo, I think, really helps tell the story, and I think you'll be able to provide some good context here. We were talking about a tornado warning out in that area. We often debate between a tornado or straight line winds and what is it that causes this. Of course, the National Weather Service will probably have someone out on the ground to try to identify what took place. But from you all's expertise, what story does this tell when you see the way in which those power lines are lined out?
Winds in a thunderstorm, everything is falling in one direction. When you have the twisting of a tornado, then you see kind of things spread out of a twisted motion. And when you look at that right there, I mean, you know, once again, this is an EF0, which is a minimal tornado. But I don't know. It looks to me like there's that twisting effect in the damage that we see right there.
Yeah, and you can't really tell in a 2D trend, but it looks like there's one direction, and this one's actually a little bit closer to us, and then that one kind of is a little bit more closer to us. So it does show kind of a slight rotation, a small little bit, and that's what the National Weather Service. You also see a tree like that. So yeah, this right now preliminary, and it's really tough to see just from one photo and from the reports that we've seen, does kind of seem like more of a classic tornado did drop down through this area. But Kayland, to also your defense on this is that it could also be straight line winds on top of that. That's why it's really tough from the National Weather Service that everything might be a straight line winds, and then all of a sudden one spot a tornado potentially came through there.
Did you say they're coming to see? Oh, that's even better when you see it in a little larger form right there.
Yeah, I believe we said that they're coming today, actually.
Yeah, okay. So
walk us through the process. What do they have to sort of go through to get a better understanding?
What they do is they don't come the same day. In most cases, it's the following day, but they're looking at the pattern of wind damage that they actually survey the wind damage and the type of damage that you get. You know, is it a tree that snapped and bent in one direction, or is it tree limbs all over the place, twisted and everything? That would indicate some rotation in a storm.
And one sign is usually, like, if you see a tree that almost looks like a bomb went off or it's splintered in the middle of it, that's a real big indication. And the National Weather Service, and we've done a weather IQ on this, the enhanced Fujita scale is actually a damage scale, where it's called a DOD, where it's degrees of damage. So they're looking for different evidence. They will say, hey, this represents an EF1, EF2. But number one, as Larry says, you got to see if there's any rotation. We have the power of 3 today. Brittany, you got a brand new, come on over here.
Bring your computer.
I'll just walk in front. Hello. Well, just because we were just talking about the National Weather Service decision, as Larry mentioned, you know, normally it's the next day. So they actually just said that the reason why is because the emergency management actually reported a report of a tornado.
So they saw it, yeah.
Yeah, so they,
okay.
so that most likely
That's an
means
official-
physically seeing something. So they
official
saw the pictures and videos that our chief meteorologist, Brad Panovich, has been sending them. And so that was like a perk up their ear, but the EM actually reporting a tornado apparently is the reason why they're bringing them today.
Is Brad there right now? Or is he just getting images from
I think
these?
he's just getting pictures and videos.
Brad has been known to do this, that all of a sudden once it's safe, he heads out to go kind of see
I don't have his location.
But just where we were looking at the radar, like everything adds up. You had a live in-person report. The radar was classic tornado, the tornado warning, the pictures. So yeah, this is likely, and this is the whole reason why we're doing this. That's why we were under a tornado watch. That's why we had a tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning with the potential of a tornado.
Yeah, and there are some videos too that we've gotten that we haven't had permission to share that also you can see a
To
little
further
bit.
answer your question, there is no way to measure. We can't use a tool to measure the speed. It's estimated speed, and it's by the damage, the type of damage. That's how you get the estimate of the wind speed. There are instruments that can be used, but in most cases, it's post-storm, the day after they see the damage, and they can estimate from that damage. That's the kind of winds that cause that type of damage.
Kind of the same thing like with a hurricane. They do their wind estimates, at landfall based on what the damage is. So.
Well, as we take one final look here at this image, I just think it's amazing that as you see the power lines that were lying down, there was a trash can just a short distance away that is still sitting up, along with those mailboxes that were untouched. So that kind of speaks to potentially the direction or the way in which that gust hit or that tornado hit. Pretty amazing there. Let's send things over to our Austin Walker, who's actually heading in that direction or toward Union County now, monitoring things from the roads. Austin.
Yeah, hey guys. So we were actually looking to drive into Union County towards that that nursery we've been talking about. When we saw this right here, you can see if I flip the camera, power lines are down right now. You can see they really look like they've fallen with ease, and the poles have really just split. That shows you how really heavy and fast those winds were blowing in this area. Specifically looking at a couple different things. I'm actually going to have us flip the camera one more time now to our other camera that's now outside. We just got set up. He's actually going to zoom in, and you can see right here that those power lines are down. Those lines currently are blocking a lot of homes right now because those lines are stretching across driveways. In the distance, you can also see that there are, it looks like a utility truck is also here already. So this happened within the last hour. So we are getting some information from those who were out here. We know that one person says they did take shelter in that nursery over here. So this shows the impact of the storm thus far. I also want to zoom in closer on the most current pole at the very, very front, and you can see again that is how that wood is split. It really shows you how heavy that wind was and how aggressive it was. No word on any of the homeowners in this area. I'm counting at least a dozen homes right here that could be impacted. I'm not sure exactly when it comes to outages what that looks like right here, but something to consider. This is the direct impact that we're seeing across the area. And now we really cannot be everywhere, so we are relying on those like you who are watching this right now to send us what it looks like in your area. Are you having any outages? Is there any downed trees in this area, or even power lines? Get to a safe location if you can. Take a photo, take videos, and send them to us on our WCNC Charlotte mobile app on the Near Me feature. You can also text us. That information is on WCNC.com or inside our mobile app, because we would love to make sure that everybody is informed on exactly what currently is going on. Now we are heading back out here, looking at other areas, so we will be checking back in throughout the rest of the day. I'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Hey, also, let me ask you a question.
Let me just interrupt real quickly for folks who might not be familiar with Monroe.
Yeah.
This is north of Monroe.
Yeah, that's my question. Where exactly are you? Yeah, give us your location, the name of the street, and where are you in Union County?
Where exactly are we? Yeah, so looking at a map, just to give you guys kind of a good idea, we're basically smack dab in the middle of Goose Creek Airport and Edwards Airport. We're just, east of the Porter Ridge High School. So basically we're just off of Conroe Highway, which is about north of on 601. So that's kind of a good general idea. Very much a rural area, not really close to any of the town centers. But if we were to keep heading in that direction into the east direction, we would be heading into Unionville. So I hope that does kind of get a better idea where we're currently at.
Thank you. That's interesting. Thanks. Great report right there. And that's exactly where that, we had the solid rotation you were talking about.
And so we were mentioning degrees of damage. I think that is greater than an EF0 for sure. And I'm going to bring you through the process of what the National Weather Service actually does. So 24 on the degrees of damage, electrical transmission line. So there's 1 through 6. Number 3, wood poles leaning. Number 4, broken wood poles. We have that right here, and it's very isolated. So this has a general range, a lower bound, and an upper bound. On average, that's showing winds over 100 miles per hour, minimum of 85. So this is at least an EF2. I would not be surprised just for the degrees of damage that those winds for that spot that you were looking. And if there's any way that we can bring up just the live shot that he was showing, I can bring up the picture again. I think it's a minimum 85 miles per hour, but with a maximum about 115. So you're talking about a strong EF1 tornado move through this area. So again, per the National Weather Service, for the degrees of damage, a broken pole has an expected wind speed ranging anywhere from 98 to 118 miles per hour, which would be strong EF1 or a weak EF2.
You know what's interesting about this picture right, thanks Pierre for that shot right there, is that there are houses within just a few feet of that. We don't see damage there. So that was one of those, they can be a very small, compact tornado with winds that could be up to EF2 scale tornado.
Yeah, and it also just shows the nature of this, because yes, you can have straight line winds that come as a wet microburst that just dive down into the surface, but everything is just pointing this out. Well, first off, it also helped that somebody physically saw this tornado, but the reason why you can also see this and the house might be okay is the tornado could have dropped down in this area, so it just, from that force, rips down all the lines, rips down the poles.
And lifts back up again.
And lifts back up again, and that might, because the nursery that we were looking at pictures earlier, and we don't have permission to share those yet, also had part of the roof torn off, and that picture was literally only from the person, her name is Marie, looking up taking that picture. Oh, we actually do have
Is that in the same area? Is oh, it is?
Yeah.
Is that right, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and for folks at home, just so you understand, we have a policy here at WCNC Charlotte that we do not share pictures on air that we do not have explicit permission to use, so that we don't get any sort of legal trouble, and so also to protect you as well. So that's what Chris is alluding to, and perhaps we have that permission now. Chris?
Yes, yeah, we do.
So we're going to call that up. Wow.
Yeah, take this. Just give me.
This is in the same area. You heard Austin's report there off of not too far off 601 in that area. That
literally, I think it's right where the power poles are, because I can bring you the map as I'm uploading the picture on here.